Today's video is going to be all about ad account structures 101. I took all of my consulting calls from the past 2 to 3 weeks. I threw it in a Claude and I said, hey, give me some topics that we should be talking about on the channel. And the number one thing that came up was ad account structures for one very specific reason. A lot of you guys overcomplicate the living hell out of these things. And you're thinking about all the different structures and how to scale and how to test and what to optimize for. And so in this video, what we're going to do is break down the common misconceptions that most people have with ad account structures, how to actually approach ads when you first launch, and then how I personally structure ad accounts when I go from 0 to 1 before I reach that point of really scaling spend. So number one, what are the common misconceptions? One of the biggest ones is that your ad account structure is the most important thing when you run ads. This is not true. A lot of new media buyers and new advertisers hyper fixate on how their ad accounts are structured. Do I do a broad ad set? Do I do a retargeting? Do I do an interest stack? Do I do a lookalike audience? How do I structure it? How many campaigns do I have? Do I test by messaging? Do I segment like this? How many ads do I need? You're overcomplicating it. At the end of the day, you see me say all the time on my channel, the number one thing you're focused on when you first launch a campaign is, am I getting the right type of people? Am I attracting the type of person that buys? Am I attracting the right type of person that would buy? Maybe they just need a little more nurturing. But am I getting the right people on the phone? Because if you run ads and you hyper fixate on the account structure and you end up getting little potato heads on iPhones, I'm sorry, has nothing to do with your ad account structure. It has everything to do with the fact that your messaging is off or the words you use in the ads. That is the most important thing, because I see so many of you guys ask questions like number of ads, what kind of targeting, how much should I be spending? All of these different irrelevant questions if you don't nail the messaging first so that you don't get potato heads. That's the number one thing. The second thing I see all the time that people get wrong with ad account structures is they think that there is some golden approach. This couldn't be further from the truth. There is no one way to run an ad account, to launch ads. There are best practices by meta standards, which we'll cover here in a minute, but there's no one size fits all approach. Great example of this. If you look at the way Jeremy Haynes structures ad accounts versus Daniel, I'm probably going to butcher his name, Illis structures ad accounts very, very differently. Dan does one ad per ad set, spends $1 million a month on ads. Haynes does 3 different sections: broad, interest, lookalike, and retargeting. I think he does it like that. I'm butchering it a little bit. But he puts all the ads into the ad set rather than one ad per ad set. Yet both guys spend money at scale. So who's right? I don't know. And nor do I really care, as long as they have a good ROAS. And this is the anchor that all of you guys need to lean on, is at the end of the day, none of the ad account structure stuff matters. None of it does. You just need to prioritize a high return on your ad spend. And more importantly, you need to make sure that you're making enough profit from your campaigns. That's it. That is legitimately it. And this is where I see so many people go wrong, is they think that the ad account structure is going to change the game for them. And in reality, your ad account structure only becomes important as you scale. If you're not scaling and you aren't actively spending more money than the average advertiser, like I'm talking you cross that 3K a day mark, 5K a day mark in some cases, your ad account structures really don't matter. And even then, I know a ton of people that use simple ad account structures and just ram spend through them. But you don't need to be overcomplicating this. Don't fixate on number of ads. Don't fixate on targeting. Don't fixate on what the conversion event is. Don't fixate on how your pixels set up. Yes, all of these are important, but you don't need to overanalyze them, which a lot of you guys do. Again, like I said, I took my consulting calls, I just ran them through Claude, and it told me this is a problem to talk about. So factually, based off the data I have, this is something that gets really overcomplicated. So now that you understand the common misconception, how should you actually approach this? How should you be thinking about launching ads for the first time? The number one skill that you can have is knowing how to say the right words. I would much rather take a super untechnical media buyer that has no idea how Facebook works, but can write really good copy in that ad account over a guy that is a Facebook nerd, but writes dog water copy. That is the biggest misconception I see all the time. Again, I'd rather take an expert level copywriter and have him go through Facebook ads 101 the day I hire him than pay some media buyer that has no idea about copywriting and they've just run ads for big brands. They may know the technical skill set and they're probably a better media buyer than I am, but they're missing the fundamental thing of running good ads, which is you say the right words that attract the right people. That is the number one thing you need to prioritize. The other thing that I see people get wrong all the time is similar to the ad account structure side of things, is they focus way too much on the formats. They'll overproduce ads. They'll test 60 different formats that take forever to get filmed and edited. They'll hyper edit their stuff on day one. You know what I'm going to do when I launch ads, which you'll probably see me do in the next month or two? Hey guys, selfie videos. There is no way in hell you will ever catch me running some super highly produced ad from day one. It makes no sense. I'm going to run a selfie video if I'm trying to attract accredited investors. I'm going to run a selfie video if I'm doing biz op. I'm going to run a selfie video if I'm doing a local service-based business. I am not paying an editor or a high-level editor at all. And the editors we have on our team, I make sure they just do simple TikTok edits. One, because ironically enough, it performs better on the platform. But two, there's no need to have them spending all this extra time doing all this extra shit on stuff that does not matter when you run ads. All you need is to say the right words. Say the right words. If you get your copy right, ads are easy. So that's the second thing when you approach ads. It's just making sure you say the right things. The last part I'll say, and this is where a lot of people overcomplicate it, is in the beginning, all that you need to be doing is pulling through UTMs and optimizing for a top of funnel event. Now, UTMs, we've explained this before. All UTMs are little tracking links that go in the URL of your ad so that you know what ad the booked call came through. So that's it. And then I'm just going to log that. So then I can cross-reference quality leads with the ad because I don't care about all the metrics. I just need to make sure that my ad brings the right type of people in. So making sure that my UTMs are going through to my CRM, sending to a spreadsheet, don't really care. Just make sure you're tracking. And then number two, I'm going to optimize for a top of funnel event. Meaning, in my pixel conditioning video, I talk about optimizing for different events down the funnel. The problem with this is if you're at lower levels of spend, you may not get the result volume needed to justify optimizing for a purchase event on a high ticket call funnel. It doesn't make sense. So what you're going to do is you're going to optimize for a qualified call. And that's it. The most top of funnel event that you can have optimized for in the beginning, as long as you get the volume. Let's say I run an opt-in to app to booked call. The most top of funnel event that is the most qualified is the booked call, qualified booked call. So I'm going to optimize for this. If I'm running a webinar and I go opt-in to booked call, when I first launch, I'm going to optimize for the opt-in. Why? Because it gets me the result volume and it starts to get me data. Now, as I scale, I may switch to the booked call, but I'm not going to overcomplicate this, guys. If it's a call funnel, I'm optimized for calls. If it's a webinar, I'm going to optimize for registrants. If it's a lead form, really just optimizing from lead form submissions. If it's a low ticket funnel, I'm going to go as down funnel as I can. But if I'm not spending enough, I'm going to have to optimize for the first purchase event. And so that's the second part is you guys overcomplicate the structure and then you overcomplicate how to set up the pixel. The last thing with the pixel that I don't want you guys to overcomplicate is go web events or CAPI, conversion API. I get this question all the time. If you aren't that technical and you just want to launch, just do a web event. There's no need to overthink this. Launch with what you know. If your match score is low, which again, watch that pixel conditioning video for more. But if your match score is low, then I'm going to switch to conversion API. Or if my result columns is glitching out, where I see I have 5 registrants, but the result column is showing 10. Okay, I need to switch to conversion API. But what we're not going to do is we're not going to overthink and complicate this process. And so in terms of approaching, again, common misconceptions, you guys overthink it. When you approach it, all I want you concerned about is the copy and taking low friction actions in the beginning. The last thing I'll say with this before we get into the how I structure accounts is make sure that your funnel's dialed in, make sure that your sales team is dialed in, and of course your ads. I see so many accounts where I look at it and they have great ads, but their funnel's awful. And then they're like, why aren't my ads working? It's like, well, your funnel's trash. Or their funnel looks good, but the copy's trash. Again, going back to the first thing, if I'm not saying the right words, none of this matters. And then lastly, sales team. I don't know why it's been causing me to go nuts lately, but if your team doesn't represent you well, but also doesn't look relatable to the type of people you're selling, fix it. I don't care if they're the best salespeople in the world. If you have a broccoli-haired 18-year-old trying to sell to 40-year-olds, do you really think a 40-year-old is going to buy from an 18-year-old? No, absolutely not. Do you really think an 18-year-old is going to buy from a 40-year-old? No, absolutely not. Some of the best salespeople you will ever have are students of your program. And guess what? They're typically the demographic you're selling anyways. So not only do you need to have good salespeople, but make sure they match. So I've been talking to one guy, potential deal, and my largest concern is him putting an older demo on a young audience. It does not work. So make sure, again, before you launch, your ads are good and they make sense. Your funnel's good and it makes sense, and your salespeople represent the business well and can actually close. Once you've done that, then and only then can you know how I structure accounts when I first launch. Now, the caveat to this is this does change as I scale in terms of I'm going to switch the way I optimize for events. So I'm going to test optimizing for different events. I'm going to test some more complex ad structures. I'm going to change the way that I structure the account. But when I first launch, baseline, this is how I structure every single account in probably 90% of situations, is I will go one campaign optimizing for whatever the funnel is. If it's a webinar, it's an opt-in. If it's a call funnel, it's a qualified call. If it's a lead form, it's a lead form. If it's a low ticket, it's as down funnel as I can get with a justifiable result volume. So very, very simple. One campaign optimizing for that event. I'm going to do 2 ad sets. I'm going to do 1 broad ad set, and I'm going to do 1 retargeting. And within those, I'm going to do 8 to 15 ads. 8 to 15 ads. If I'm spending more than $1,000 a day, I'll do 15 to 20. And if I'm doing 2K plus, it's going to be 20 to 30. And that's it. That's how I'm going to structure every single campaign. Don't overcomplicate it. Inside that campaign, a couple of things that are important to note. Placements. Turn off audience network, threads, messenger to start. And then you'll adjust as you scale. You'll see where most of your conversions are coming from. You're going to turn off the ones that aren't coming from those placements. But I'm going to turn these off. Second thing, I'm going to turn off all of Meta's AI. I'm going to write it. AI bullshit. I'm turning all of it off. I don't want a single bit. I'll do relevant comments. That's it. I don't even want their music on the thing because typically it's just atrocious. So I'm turning off all of Meta's AI shit. And then the last one that's super important is bid caps / cost caps. I always mix these up, so I just bulk them into one. It might even be the same thing. That's how simple I keep it. I'm going to make sure that bid caps and cost caps are on. Why? Because sometimes Meta's going to spend out the wazoo. And if it's optimizing for $1,000 conversion, you may have just fucked yourself. So make sure you set those bid caps and cost caps in place. If you're launching fresh and you have no historical data on what your cost should look like, or you haven't modeled out, you don't have an idea of what you should look like, then in certain situations, I'll say run without it. But in 99% of cases, run with bid caps and cost caps on. After I set those, all I'm going to be doing is if I'm not spending my daily budget, I'm going to just increase that bid cap or that cost cap. And I'm just going to repeat that process until I see it flatline. And then I know what to expect inside of the account. But what I'm not doing is just blowing my budget. The last thing that I've done this once or twice, and it's probably one of the scariest things you've ever done, make sure, triple check that your budgets are accurate. It's very easy to add an extra zero and wake up having spent 10x what you intended. So double check and make sure that your budgets are accurate as well. But in terms of ad account structures, guys, it's very simple. I'm going one campaign every single time. Broad with this, retargeting with this. Nothing special. There are nuanced situations where this does change. And if you're curious what those would look like, maybe your business fits into it. There's a link below. You can book a call to speak to myself or the member of the team about scaling with paid ads, whether it's on a consulting basis or a done for you basis. There are nuanced situations where I may do lookalike or I may do interest stacks and throw that into here. But generally speaking, this is the structure I'll run with every single ad account. Start with your copy. Don't overcomplicate it. And if you have any questions about this, just drop them in the comments below. Other than that, guys, hope you like this video. If you want to see more like this, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel. Like I said, drop in the comments what questions or other things you want to see, and I will see you in the next one.